Hi, I'm Nicole Bond, and I'd like to welcome you to our LIU LearnOn live webinar. This webinar in particular is going to focus on Google Sites as a learning hub and a content curator. So I am going to walk you through this particular slide deck, but I then am going to jump out and I'm going to show you some Google Sites information. So if you don't know me, I'm the Educational Technology Specialist here at Lincoln Intermediate Unit 12. And this is my contact information if you watch this and you have questions or you just want to reach out for me for some ideas or thoughts, or if you want to troubleshoot something that you're using with Google Sites. So just as a reminder, we have a lot of resources on our LearnOn website, the first one being our LearnOn Recordings. So for this fall, we have done a series of shorter recordings. Some of them are asynchronous where we recorded them ahead of time, and some of them are live like this one. In which we're interacting with attendees. In some cases, it depended upon the technology and whether it was easier to be able to pause and record to show you exactly what we needed to show you, or if this the ability to use the question and answer pod was going to be important. We have all of our webinar archives here, though, which include information and resources and webinars from the Summer Institute, as well as all of the webinars that we hosted and created this past spring. So there are literally over 150 recorded webinars from staff here at Lincoln Intermediate Unit 12 on this website and in our webinar archives. I really do encourage you to go and check them out. So if you're looking for this webinar or any other webinar, including the resources for this webinar, you want to go to our LearnOn site and you'll want to go up to Educator, then select recorded webinars, and you will find all of the recorded webinars, and in the case of this one, you will find the slide deck as well. So as we're facing the fall here, it is the beginning of September officially, and we are still looking at what school might look like this fall. A lot of school districts have started in one capacity or another. I know that some are doing a virtual learning where they're all at home. Some school districts are doing face-to-face, almost like old times. There might be some social distancing and some masks, but everybody's there. Or they're doing a blended model or a hybrid model where maybe the classes are a little bit smaller and there's A and B days or AM and PM. But the thing we have to be ready for is the fact that we may have to pivot very, very quickly and communicate that pivot not only to our students and our fellow colleagues, but also their parents. So this is where Google Sites might actually come in really handy if you start with it early and share it with your parents. So we have at LIU 12 created a roadmap to returning, and these are the steps, as well as a short link here at the bottom. Our roadmap involves these 6 steps. The first one being the idea of reflecting and identifying lessons learned. I would hope if you've started school this week that you've already started that process. You've already reflected and said, these are the things that worked this fall, these are the things that didn't, I'm gonna keep these in my toolbox, I'm gonna throw these out, or I'm gonna fix these because this didn't work. Those are all things you wanna keep in mind as we move forward. I also want you to think about how you are learning and developing. Have you gone back and revisited best practices? How are you thinking about individualized digital instruction for your students if you are doing maybe a hybrid model especially, or you're doing online? How can students kind of choose their own path sometimes, or how can you make sure that students are getting the materials that they need and it's not just one thing that you're pushing out to everybody? And number 3 is to team up and collaborate. So how are you working with your colleagues to create and investigate tools and identify open education resources that you might be using across multiple classrooms, especially if you teach similar content areas or grade levels. And then the idea of planning and orienting, how you're going to orient your students to your environment, including formative assessment to advance those students who maybe have already mastered a concept, or to remediate those students who need extra help because maybe they're missing some pieces from this past spring. And then the conversion process of moving things digitally as quickly as we can afford to do, and then accelerating and remediating, which comes back to that plan and orient piece. So there's more details and links and resources if you go out to our LearnOn website for the roadmap to return. You'll find the short link down here, which will take you there. So a lot of us right now are moving kind of out of the prep chef. We're still being a prep chef in the background on the side, but we're also moving out of prep chef and into the restaurant where we are curating and providing our students with resources and content and instruction and supporting them. The prep chef is really that idea of what are our choices in content, how are we going to individualize our content, what tools do we have in creating and delivering that content, How are we communicating with each other? So today what I'm going to do is go a little bit into Google Sites. Google Sites, if this is a restaurant and you were a prep chef and you've been working on your restaurant, maybe you would have one way that you're going to serve your material. So when you're serving your material, you're probably using a learning management system of some kind. This might be Google Classroom, this might be Canvas, this might be Schoology, this might be Moodle, it may be Teams, or any number of those. You can still technically use Google Sites as that restaurant in some ways. Just know that it doesn't work like a learning management system. It's more of a, here's the stuff. So I like to think of Google Sites as more of the hostess, like, welcome, where can I send you? Welcome, here's information about what the specials are today. But this isn't the person doing the serving. This is not the person who is collecting your orders, right? This is just a, hey, welcome, let me get you seated, let me put you on the list. That's what Google Sites is, right? It's more of a, hey, welcome, this is my classroom. Here's some resources which might be helpful for you. Here's some places you can go to find additional information. Here's some of the resources we use in this classroom, so it can be used that way. It can also be used as a hub of information to help parents identify what they need to be doing at home, especially if you're working with the littles and you're thinking maybe my parents need a little more information about how they can support those kiddos at home. So it works like a hub or a hostess. So one of the things I want to start with before we really get into Google Sites formally is the idea of FERPA. So when it comes to FERPA, this is one of those federal laws which help protect our students. Right? The Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act makes sure that there is certain information, personally identifiable information, so PII, cannot be shared out in a public fashion. So the one thing I want to remind you is anything you put on Google Sites should be anonymous. It shouldn't necessarily include student information, including student lists of students or anything like that. Google Sites is a public piece, so if you wouldn't post anything on sites that you don't plan on posting to the world. And so I want you to think about what you do in your classroom and what you might include on your Google site that you wouldn't be posting for every single parent or the world to find in a Google search. So what I like to do is think about some of the categories that might work for our online hub. We might use our hub to orient parents to what our assignment pattern is. Like assignments will be sent out on Mondays. They're expected to be done by the following Monday at 8 a.m. It might be a place for community where you explain how to reach your newsletter that you send out on a monthly basis, or where they can find information for the PTO or the PTA. It might include hours and contact information. So for example, if I'm running a hybrid learning space, you need to remember that you're teaching students during the day, and those students who are learning it online at home may need to ask a question. So what's the protocol for that? How are they going to be able to ask you a question when you're obviously teaching in the front of the classroom? And if you're not live streaming that class, they don't have access to you. So what's the contact protocol? What's the contact information? This would be a place to put it so that parents and students have easy access. Hey, if you have a question between these hours, you need to submit this Google form. I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Or, you know, I will be holding office hours in my Zoom room at 9:45, which is my planning period. So if you want to come see me face to face, you can join me in this Zoom room during my planning period. So information like that would be great to include on an online hub. An online help desk or FAQ. If there are maybe 3 different resources that you constantly use, and you know there are already tutorials that are student facing or parent facing out there on the internet, wouldn't you want to embed them so that students can easily go and find that tutorial and figure out, oh, that's how I do that. That's how I submit assignment in Google Classroom, or that's how I create something in Google Slides. So you can kind of use it like an online help desk. If your district maybe already has one where it already has several resources, you can be linking out to that. Or if you want to create a Google form that's a frequently asked question Google form, where every time a question comes in, you populate it somewhere on, say, a Word document or something. This would be another location for it. You may also have direct links to tools and content resources. So for instance, if I were using a tool such as Common Lit, which I might use to send out reading assignments. I might include that in there. Like one of the content resources that we use is Common Lit. Students have a login, they use their Google login, and leave it as simple as that. Or I might be using Discovery Education and say this is one of the resources we use, it's Discovery Education. Students have their login, they can access it using the login that was given to them on whatever date, or please reach out to me if you need it. That sort of information. And then it's also a way to organize the content. So you can actually use Google Sites to build your own textbook. If you can find the digital resources out there, you could literally create pages in your site that are like Unit 1 and start at the beginning of Unit 1, Lesson 1, and list the content that maybe you expect students to read that's consumable and is allowed to be facing publicly. So think about how you might organize all of those pieces. Think about what might be the first page a student or caregiver should see when they go to this website. What resources do you want everyone to know and how to access, because that's what you want to include on this website. And what should I not share, right? So we got to keep in mind the privacy of our students and their caregivers. What information is not going to be shared. So think about a normal website. They're often organized something like this as a way to model it out. You have your home page that everyone goes to first, and then you think about all the pages that other people may click on. So there might be an about page, like this is what you need to know about my class. Treat your class like a business. This is what you need to know about our class. You know, I've been teaching for this long, and maybe it's background information about you, what your expectations are, your greeting policy, etc. And here in products, maybe that's some of the content that you cover in your class. If you teach an entire grade, it might be broken out into some of the subjects and the resources you use, but maybe you're a history teacher, and maybe you start the year with Mesopotamia. And so Unit 1, Mesopotamia, is here. Then you go into whatever you'd like next. Maybe there's another unit on ancient Rome and ancient Egypt, etc., etc. And maybe each unit has its own page. And maybe you don't have everything for it yet. Totally understand. All you gotta do is create it and say, coming soon. And just start with the units that you're actually using or doing, and posting that information in there so that parents and students can get to the content and treat it like a textbook. It's just there. I can view the images or videos in there. I can read the articles that are linked in there. And it's a resource where more information can be found, or additional information. Maybe not, it's not going to be how to turn that information in, but that's where you can find info. So think about maybe a page about contact information. And other resources, links perhaps back to partners, such as other teachers that the students might have if they have websites, or links back to the district website if needed. So I'm going to take you out now. This particular slide deck, which I'm going to share with you, it will be on our LearnOn website with this recorded webinar, will be here, and it's full of placeholders that show you everything you need to know about creating a site, step by step, where to go, what to do. So again, that's out here on the LearnOn website. Under recorded webinars, you will find that information right in here. So I'm going to slide this down just a smooch so I can see it. We've got a lot going on. I'm going to go to my fake folder. So I am in Google Drive. Now I can go to the website I said, but I can also go down here and create a Google site in whatever folder I would like, really quickly, like so. When you create a Google site, it's not immediately published. So don't be nervous about what you do. Feel free to tinker in your Google site, because you can freely do so without having published it, delete it, change it later. The first thing you want to do is make your site title. So once you've titled it, you'll notice it's here, it's all titled. This is my home page. That's when I can start to tinker a little bit. So I like to go in, and I'm always up here checking out the settings. That's the first thing I do when I'm in Google, is check out the settings and the share settings. So this share settings, it's shared with anybody else who can see this folder. I want to point this out because I've had a couple of people reach out to me lately saying, hey, I created my website, but nobody can see it. And I send it to parents and it says error 404. Go here, right here where it says links vary. And you'll see where draft is restricted. That's not a big deal. I want that restricted. It's just mine. Now, if I was sharing with another co-teacher who I wanted to go in and do stuff, I might share that with her or him. And you'll see it's published only to Lincoln Intermediate Unit. That That means if I share it with a parent, they don't have the same email address or addition as and that I have, iu12gmail.org, they won't be able to see this website and all these great resources. So one of the things I have to make sure I do is make it public. This means when I publish it, anybody can see it on the internet. I haven't published it yet. There's a big purple publish button way up here in the corner that I haven't hit. So I'm gonna hit done. So now I know when I do publish it, it will be public and anybody can see it. They don't have to be logged into their Google account. So I wanted to point that out. I can also, like I said, add people. So if there was somebody I wanted to collaborate with me and add their materials in here too, I could do that. So maybe if I was working with a whole grade level as a middle school teacher, maybe my whole 8th grade wants to go in and start making their stuff and building out. Or if maybe I'm working with a co-teacher and they need to add their materials, I can do that too. So you'll see over here that I can insert all kinds of things into this website from a text box, which you'll see I can change all sorts of things, alignments. I can create links to other places. I can change colors, duplicate it. I can insert an image. This is in gallery, but I can also go by URL. I can search the internet for it. I can find things I've already uploaded on Google Drive. See as a background there, that changes it up a little bit. I can, up here at my header, I can change the image back there too. Again, I can upload something or I can put something in myself. I can also change the type. If I don't want it to be banner, I just want it to be my class like that. I can do that. Banner, large banner, cover, etc. You do what you think looks right for you. I'm just going to leave mine like that. Over here, I've got the text box, images. Embed is for if I have HTML code from somewhere. I can embed anything in here from my Google Drive. So anything I create, as long as I make sure that it's anyone can view, I have to make sure the setting on every file is anyone can view, super important. I can embed in here for someone to see. So if I go into Drive, it's going to bring up all my files and I can put stuff in. I can change my layouts. And then this is all the stuff I can put in there. I can put in some collapsible text. So collapsible text would be, like here, can you see something awesome? Something awesome. So when somebody puts in, they can see it. I can do an image carousel if I have lots of pictures. So for instance, if I'm an art teacher and I want to include a whole bunch of pictures, I can add a button. Sometimes this is a different way to do things that you want to link out to. You see it shows up like that. I can tinker with it. It's filled. I can make it outlined instead. Just text. You'll see I can do all sorts of things over here, add dividers, placeholders, just something I'm sticking in there until I figure out what I want to add later. I can do a YouTube video, which means I can search for something on theme and include that video if I wanted to. Ooh. All sorts of stuff. There it is. I can make it smaller. I can make it bigger. Let's do it that way. I can also add my own YouTube videos. So if I'm logged into my account, I can go right into the things that I've created and insert them really quickly, just like so. You'll see that I can insert a calendar. So if I have a great schedule of things, like appointments with Ms. Font that I want to add, there it is. You'll see I have office hours that someone can sign up for, so I might want to include my Google Calendar in there. I can insert a map if there's some reason that I would need students to access a map. I can insert documents, so maybe my course syllabus, if I've already created it in Google Docs, I can put that in there, again, if it's set so that anyone can view. I can do slides. Now, I really like slides. This is kind of exciting for me. So I'm going to go in here with slides. And you know what? Let me show you something with this one first. So this is the slide deck we were just in. So you see Google Sites, the ones I just made. But if I go over here, I think it's just settings. Oh, here's the gear. This settings gear right here and click on it. I can do some really neat things with slides. I can do an auto start. so that it goes through the entire slide deck, and I can time it out. So I can time it to five seconds if I wanted to, 2 seconds, what have you. And I can change the starting slide. So if I wanted it to start on slide 4 instead of slide 1, and I'll show you why that's cool in a minute. I can do that as well. I can loop the playback so it's always playing. And that means whenever someone logs in, it's constantly playing this in the background. So that's one way I can use slides, which is great. It'll actually play through the entire slide deck. Another way I can use slides, so let's insert this one too. I like this one a lot, is you see I made this one so it looks like a page. And what I might want to do is put my assignments in my Google slide. Now this is great because I'm not going to have to go into Google Sites and update it regularly. As long as I go into the Google slide and update it, it will update in the site. So it will always update so that they can see it. Now I can go in here and tinker. So for example, this is week 1. If I want it to start with week 1 all the time, that's fine, but maybe we're in week 2 and I want it to start with week 2. It'll say week 2. Now, will people be able to click through? They'll be able to click through and go to the other weeks if they want to, but it could contain all sorts of materials, including links to other resources as well. So think about how you might be able to embed a slide which has all of your assignments or all of the different resources that you're going to use for a unit. You could do that in slides and just put it in here, and it's already embedded. It's great. So that's another option as well. Close out slides. I can also embed a form. So I have a form called collecting information. I'm going to go up here and go into forms so you can see what I'm going to do here. So this is collecting information. So I might put first name. So if this is maybe an FAQ, so short answer required. Last name. Email. So it says legal email collection. Click that, so I want it to be. So at this point, it's going to collect emails from only IU12. I want to get rid of that. I don't want to restrict it. I want it to be open because I want it to be public. So in that case, it's going to prompt for an email. And then leave that a paragraph. So now I have the ability for folks to submit questions in this particular form. So I'm done. I've already made sure this is what it looks like. Email, first name, last name, your question. Perfect. I can tinker and change it with the Google form. Move back over here. This is my Google site. Again, it's purple, so it can be a little confusing. It looks a little bit like a form. All right, this is the form I just made. I want to insert that. So there it is. Now it's in my website. So that if I wanted to create an FAQ page, I've got a form embedded. So I'm just going to hit publish so that you can see what this looks like. When I publish my site, it's going to try to change this. If I wanted to put like English best in there, I could. We can view my site, anyone. Now I can manage that. You notice this looks familiar, doesn't it? We were just in here. So I'm going to hit done and bring it back up. If I don't want it to be in a public search engine, and that might be the case, because this might be a thing where I want it public, but only with the people I send the link to, or who click on it because I put it in my email signature. I might click that too. Publish. Boom. If I want to see what it looks like, I want to show you this preview button first. This preview button lets you view what it looks like on a computer, what it looks like on a tablet, and what it looks like on a cell phone screen. So wanted to point that out to you first. I'm recording this, so if you need to pause it, if you're watching the recording, just go ahead and pause it. That preview button's up here. If I need the link to my actual site, this is it. This is the link I share with my parents and students. This is the link. Don't copy and paste what it says up here at the top right now because I'm in the editor and I'm not going to be able to get to the website if I give them that link. So if I go over here, there it is. One of the things I like to do to test to make sure that my website is public is I go over here to these 3 dots and I open a new incognito window. That means I'm not logged into anything in this window. and it still comes up, that means it's public. Anybody can see it. You can always send it to a friend and have them check it out too, but I find that that is the safest way to make sure that I've made it public. So you can close that out. So this is just me quickly throwing a whole bunch of random things in so you can see how I can insert all of these things in the insert piece. The next one over is pages. This is where I can add those pages where maybe I want to be like contact information. See, and I can do the same thing and edit each and every one of these pages. Maybe I want a, where are my lessons? So you see I can do that. I also want to point out I can go over here to these 3 dots and I can add a subpage. And I can add another subpage. Subpages are beneath, they come underneath of them. So I wanted to see. So up here, if I click on grammar lessons, it's going to give me subject verb agreement, and then I click there to get what is the subject. So it creates kind of a cascading menu for folks to click through. So that's how you can help organize, and I can drag. Once I've got them, I can drag it up. So if I want that not to be in the cascading menu, I want it to show up right away, I can do it that way. So that's another option. I can click right into each one, and then I have this way of adjusting the theme. So maybe if I want to adjust things, I can do that. I can change different colors. So maybe these colors aren't very exciting, and I want something that's bright and glorious, like purple. Then there we go. Now it's a little bit different. So I can tweak it a little bit with these themes as well. Now that I've made more changes, I have to go up and hit publish. Unlike a lot of other Googly things where if you just make it, it publishes immediately as soon as you tinker with it. Google Sites is going to require you to go up there and hit publish every single time for it to become public. So you see it tells me here all the different things that I changed, and I have to hit publish for all those different things to appear on the public website. So I'll hit refresh. There we go. Now you see the color changed. You see I have these up here. I can get to these other places on this website. So it gives you an idea of kind of what that looks like on the user end once I do that. So those are really the basics. That is the 101 on how to use Google Sites to collect information if you're going to embed a form and to post things. So what I'm going to do is actually show you a site that I made that's kind of like my fake learning hub, so you get an idea. So this is the home. So this is my learning hub example. So what I might do on my home page is I might include a calendar, my office hours, a link to schedule an appointment so that folks can schedule any of those appointments from 9 to 11 p.m. when I hold my office hours. You'll see I included reasons you might make an appointment to meet with me. Up here I have our class content. You'll see I broke it into some units. All right, and I might include different pieces. So you see that assignment in there. I can click here and watch that video. It's embedded in that Google slide and I can watch it. It's fantastic. So if you don't want to embed the videos in, you can embed them in the slides and tinker with the slides and kind of leave the website pretty solid the way it is. You won't have to go in and mess with it too much if you embed slides that have your information. You just have to go through week 2. So, and this one's auto playing to give you an idea of how I might want to organize. Or I might want to organize by week. So I might do units if I'm trying to make, let's say, kind of like an online textbook. Or I might do it by week if I am maybe posting things out that I want parents to click on to do with their kids each week. So for instance, if I was a preschool teacher, I might put all the things I would like parents to do each week here. And then I might include a form at the bottom and say, talk to me, send me an explanation of what you guys did or something along those lines. You see I made a class how-to. So this might be where I put like how to submit an assignment in Google Classroom. Using Google Docs for discussions in here. So I might include a variety of different pieces in my how-to section. So really this presentation is just to give you some of those ideas about what you can put into a Google site and how it can be a learning hub and a resource for parents What I would do is I would take this link to my homepage up here, and I would put it in my email signature. I'd make sure I'd send it out to parents in the first couple of weeks here, like, hey, maybe after, let's see, Labor Day on Monday, maybe I send it out and say, hi, everyone, I just want to let you know that I did create this learning hub, which has all of the resources that might be needed for my class. If you ever need to submit a question to me, you can do this, you can do that, and give them a little bit of a guided, here's what's up. Or you can just simply put it in your signature and tell your students where it is, put it in your learning management system so they know they can go there. And treat this like a publicly facing resource center. Like, hey, you have questions about how to do this? I've created this resource of class how-tos that has, and maybe they're videos you made, or maybe they're ones that you find just through a quick YouTube search that somebody else has made that explains how to submit a Google assignment. Most things have been created. Don't stop yourself from going to YouTube and typing in tutorial on how to submit a YouTube assignment so that you can put it in there and help your parents and your students if you need to. So that's the basic overview of Google Sites. I haven't seen any questions pop in here. I'm going to go back. This will be posted with this recording in the recorded webinars on LearnOn. So you'll notice there's a couple of step-by-steps. All of this, please feel free to use as a guide if you're trying to remember, hey, what did she say? Obviously, you can use the recording to help you and pause and watch what I'm doing as I'm doing it. But this is another great guide to step-by-step what each piece is and all of the different things that you can do in Google Sites as well. Don't forget I gave you kind of a little list here of things that you might want to include in your hub and how you might want to think about what that hub looks like. I can give you guys, again, come back to this particular website. This is our LearnOn website. It's for educators, and it's under recorded webinars. It's where you're going to find all of your resources that go with this webinar. And I just want to remind you that this website is a Google site. So everything that you see in here and how we organized it, so you see that calendar, those are all pieces of a Google site. These are buttons that we put across here. You'll see our cascading menus. There's the roadmap to return. So it is possible to make a very robust website just using Google Sites to help house information and resources for everyone. So please feel free to use this as a guide if you need to. And I will be posting the Google site in here as well. I just want to remind everyone that this is where you find your URL when you share it, and whatever you do, nobody can see it unless you publish it. Additionally, this is under here with that person with the plus is where you make sure that it's public so that other people can see it. Otherwise, you're going to make this gorgeous website and you're going to be really frustrated that parents and students click on it and it says 404. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to stop the recording here in a moment so that I can answer any questions that have shown up in the chat. Doesn't look like it. Looks like we're doing all right now, but I'll hang out in case there's any specific questions. What you'll notice here is this is the link to the fall LearnOn evaluation. So if you have any thoughts that you would like to share with us or suggestions for future webinars, we would love to have that information. I would like to wish everyone good luck this school year. I think everyone's going to need a little bit of luck to get through this school year. And that doing the best you can is really what it's all about. I hope you took one piece out of this. It's not important that everyone goes out and makes a website immediately that looks glorious. Know that the potential's there. Just start with one thing, and that's the one thing you want to keep getting better at. Thank you guys so much.